can't start before it turns 5 o'clock. All right, good evening. Welcome to the May committee meetings. We're going to switch up the order what we originally sent out because Miss Evelyn's granddaughter's receiving an award at school tonight, and so we are going to do finance, then we're going to do community development commissions, and then animal services. So that excuse yourself once we get done with that. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Morrow with finance.
This is the finance meeting, committee meeting. Today's date is Tuesday, May the 12th, 2026. And Mr. Brown, our chair, is away, so I'm substituting for him as vice chair. We'll start out with the establishment of a quorum, calling this meeting to order. I'll start with the far right, starting with Council Member Baptist. Jeff, yeah, go ahead.
Tom Farmer.
Jeff Morrow. Okay, and now we have a quorum officially. All right, we're going to have a second thing on our agenda tonight is the statement of FOIA compliance. Ms. Spicer, if you'll read our statement of compliance, and then we'll take roll call.
I affirm that I have not engaged in any prohibited discussion, deliberation, or polling regarding any item on this meeting's agenda outside of a properly noticed and open meeting, in compliance with the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act as amended by Act 505/2025. And I'm going to start with Alderman Baptist.
Yes.
Ms. Spencer Cole? Yes. Ms. Reed? Yes. Mr. Slaughter?
Yes.
Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Valines? Yes. Mr. Lee? Mr. Hain?
Yes. Okay. And item 3 on our agenda is the approval of minutes from the April 14th, 2026 meeting. We had an advance packet sent out via email. You should have had time to read that. I'll entertain a motion at this time if there are no changes. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Next thing on our agenda is item number 4, Benton Utilities. We have the CFO from the Benton Utilities Department. He's going to cover the March 2026 financials, and we entertain questions after that.
I just noticed that I left February highlights at the top of that. It should say March. Need a secretary to do that for me. So for March, we had expenses over revenues utility-wide of $669,000. But if you look at our budget, we're within 1% on our revenues and expenses for the year. We have a month or two here and there that falls that way because of the timing of some of our expenses on our projects. So we're still doing pretty good there. We had capital outlay expenses of $1 million. Most of those were system improvements. We purchased an excavator. There was a power cost adjustment of 1/10 of a penny for March. We returned $175,000 to the customers. I calculated April's just a few days ago, and there was no adjustment for or against, so it was a push there. I don't have the numbers, but I think for the year we're still a little behind. When I mean behind, we've charged a little more than what we've to recover our cost. We do anticipate that to even out at year end. Electric had expenses over revenues of $412,000, and that is primarily due to a project with Buc-ee's that they're going to reimburse us on, which we got this, we got in, since I'm doing March, we got in this month, actually, yes, in May. Water was the lone utility that actually had revenues over expenses. It was $132,000. Wastewater had expenses over revenues of $389,000. And again, that was due to primarily a repair job on our EQ basin. And the rest of that detail there, I won't go into to save time. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
No questions? Thank you.
I got, in your packet, there was a handout, the press release from Moody's. I just wanted to kind of touch that just real quick. I think Mr. McBride mentioned this at the council meeting, but they rated those bonds on that issuance an A1, and they kind of have their rationale on here. It's, and again, I won't go into that, but if you have any questions on that, I just wanted to kind of pass that out so you could have that for information purposes. And then also in front of you, you have our 25 audit. We had a clean opinion on that, which is what everybody strives for. So it basically says our financial statements are in compliance with generally accepted accounting principles. We had an increased net position of 10.4 million. That's basically your fund balance. And one thing I would like to point out, if you don't mind, turning to page 21. That is a comparison, shows each utility for the past 2 years. Basically, it's an income statement. And if you notice down at the bottom, you've got 25, 24, electric, water, and wastewater. All of those were in the positive. That's 2 years in a row that we've done that, and that was a long process that you guys helped participate in. I just wanted to point that out. And I went all the way back to 2002, and that only happened one time prior to 24, and that was in 2007. So we've made a lot of progress, and I thank you.
Thank you. All right. All right, next item on the agenda, item number 5 is the related party ordinance. In your packet, you'll notice that this is one of those ordinances that we do annually. I think legislative audit may have come back to us at some point in the past, and so we need to make this an annual recurring thing. And on that ordinance on the back is Exhibit 1. But essentially, this is additional officers that are added to the force. We have vendors that are hired, or they're already current employees of the city, or they're related to the employee. The council is asked to update the ordinance. This includes allowing these officers, again, to perform off-duty security at our parks department, as well as other services. And you'll notice the enumeration of those other services. They're miscellaneous and other things. You have repair, electrical, plumbing, Big Bear's Meat House and Catering. So those are just a few examples, but there are a number of employees who do participate in those additional duties. We do need an ordinance on this. Again, this is an annual requirement, so I'll entertain motions at this point. A motion at this point. Second. A motion and second on the table. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we have the next item, number 6 on the agenda, is increase in pay discussion. This is already approved at 2.5% raises. These are already appropriated for all non-elected employees. However, due to the rising inflation and gas prices, which I know everybody's taking notice and attention to, the suggestion is to increase the raise from 2.5 to 3% for all non-elected employees. They will not exceed their salary ranges set by the council. And I don't know if anybody has any. Oh, we took this whole section out? Okay. So if they are maxed out, it could exceed their,
It will.
yeah, it will
It
exceed.
will.
And there's
We'll
probably,
have
how
to.
many employees are affected by that?
17.
17 employees are affected by that. So, yeah, I forgot we talked about that earlier in the week, but anyway. So that's the increase in pay discussion. Again, what's budgeted is 2.5%, but recommendation is 3% from the administration, due to inflation and gas prices. Any questions or comments?
Let me do a little explaining here, if you would. We looked at 4% truthfully, I wanted to go 4% for all the employees, but it would have meant that it would have cost us an additional $250,000 for next year's budget process. The things that came into factor in this is the fact that we promised our employees that we would reevaluate the ranges for 27. We already know that the base pay goes from 51 to 53,000 for our officers and our firemen next year. So we'll have to add that into the budget also. And I plan on in August to get with the departments and look at the ranges so we can readjust it as needed for our employees for the upcoming year like we promised them back when we first did this. Now, this raise, if you know, we budgeted $196,000 for the 2.5%. By giving an additional 0.5%, it will cost us roughly $50,000, and that's across the board, all employees, and we'll adjust the ranges to fix this for our employees. But with the inflation like it is, you know, when we first started this process, it was 2.9 was the inflation rate, and honestly, today I saw where it was 4%. So we're already behind, and I wish we could do better, but knowing what we got coming in 27, I feel comfortable with this additional raise for it'll go in effect in July if you so pass it. Questions?
Mayor, let me make sure I understood you on earlier. So there are 17 employees that
That are maxed
that are
out.
maxed out. So we're extending the max?
Yes.
Basically adding to the
Yes.
max, or just those 17?
Just those 17.
Okay.
So everyone, in other words, all employees will get a full 3% raise, is what I'm proposing. We'll take an ordinance to do this.
Make a motion that we accept the 3% raise.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table. This is a resolution, what I have in mind.
Yes, resolution.
Yeah,
I'm
resolution,
sorry.
okay. Motion and a second on the table. Any further comments, questions? Not, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Passes. This is item number 6 on our agenda. Thank you very much. We'll move now to other business. Item number 7. As you will recall, I believe this is in February of this year, we as a council voted to request Lotfee to perform an actuarial evaluation on the possibility of giving the 22 surviving members of the old fire pension plan that was rolled into Lotfee with a $300 raise monthly. It's a monthly raise. At the present time, we have one mill that's designated that brings in roughly $700,000 annually. It's used to fund the almost $40,000. It's $39,175 each month, along with an annual payment of the remainder of the funds received from this millage for that year to pay down the unfunded liability. In Lotfee in 2020, it is currently almost 62% funded, and it's projected to pay off in the year 2036. Again, for additional context, in 2020, the old fire pension consolidated into Lotfee. Since then, 3 additional increases have been approved by the council and Lotfee, and remember these increments were 200, 300, and 300 respectively. Each year, these surviving members of the old fire pension plan do receive a 3% cost of living increase. It's scheduled regularly through Lotfee and without council approval. The last increase was in 2023 at $300 per member. I think the year before we had 25, this year we have 22. So just to give you some idea there. So this week they returned the study, which we requested, with the following results. The monthly premium, preliminary monthly employer contribution rate with no change is a little over $25,000. The monthly preliminary monthly employer contribution rate of $300 per member is additionally is $37,000, a little over $37,000. So for a net change of about $12,000 increase. The increase in unfunded actuarial accrued liabilities resulting from the proposed benefit changes from the local fire plan is approximately a little less than $1 million at $900,000. The increase in the unfunded liability for the local fire retired members was amortized over 9 years. The standalone cost of the 300 monthly benefit increase is an increase of 12,000, which I just stated, in the monthly employer contribution rate for fiscal year 2027. Now, we are calling for an ordinance for this if the council is comfortable with this, but I did speak with Mr. Brown and Ms. Spitzer earlier last week, and we're comfortable with this increase. I'm comfortable with it. It's affordable. As time goes on, again, these numbers will, draw down in the future, but at this time, we feel like we can afford it. And I'll ask Ms. Spitzer to add any other color commentary that she
Let
sees
me-
of the mayor.
We talked to Lofty because my math didn't agree with their math. Because if you multiply $300 times 22, that's $6,600 a month, yet the cost is $12,001, which I just couldn't figure out why it was $12,001. And their explanation was that was the amount that was amortized to fully pay us off in 9 years, which would be 2036. That was their explanation. So
Regardless of the,
amount the 22 individuals get.
yeah.
So, we're still paying off on it every month. I just had to ask that question because it didn't make good math to me. So, any questions that y'all might have, we'll be glad. They were very nice when we called them. If you'll remember, the reason we started doing this back when was because the on salary at that time. And so,
Yeah, and that's the vote, that's what voted on at plan at the
Yes.
time, but things have changed over the,
well, cost of living
yeah,
really
this has
changed.
changed over, this started way back in 1985, I
Yes.
believe, yeah.
I believe 23.
Okay. Any questions? Any other questions? Everybody understand? I know it's a lot to consume, but the numbers seem feasible at this point in
Yes,
time.
they do.
So, no questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Again, we need an ordinance for this particular item. Okay, have a motion, a second on the table. Any other comments? Okay, if not, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, that takes us to our last item on the agenda. That is the April 2026 financials, which are before you. And I know Ms. Spitzer does a fantastic job of covering high-level summary. If you have any questions, please, set up a meeting with her or call her, or set up a meeting if you have more detailed questions on the particular departments. But it looks like we had a great month. 13.2%. Again, these are 60 days in arrears on the tax collection. So this is really, if we're in May, this would have been in March. Actual activity in the market, but 13.2, which averages out to just a little over 6% for the year on our sales tax, the general fund. So with that, Ms. Spitzer, anything else we need to cover? I think you want to cover the actual revenues and expenses, right?
Yeah, I'll be brief. On your general fund page, if you will look, there's two things I'd want to pull attention to. Over to the bottom left-hand corner is the financial stability fund balance. At the end of April, the fund balance for financial stability was $2,281,574.76. That is for any time there is something catastrophic that is appropriated by the council. That is not a regular account that we do appropriations against. We always have to come back to the council and ask for approval on any expenditures out of that fund. Also, if you'll look at your available unrestricted account balance, it's just over $4 million for April 2026. If you'll look right beside that, you'll see what the unrestricted balance was in 2025, and that was about 3.6 million. So you'll see our cash position unrestricted is better this year than what it was last year. The animal shelter is, I know Mr. Parsons can talk to that whenever he gets up here for his meeting, but the animal shelter is still in the process of being built. We still have not made the final payment on that building, but that is cash coming out of the general fund. And then there's one more thing. The legislature voted last year that all municipalities had to move to .gov domain. We are in the process of that at midnight tonight. We will make that transition, and then first thing in the morning, when our employees, not the police department, they'll do next week, but all of our other city employees will have that new domain. It will not affect anything as far as with the public. Anytime an email comes in through the .org domain, it'll still get forwarded on to the new domain. So we've done a couple of trial runs with that with Ascend Technologies, who is our IT vendor. So far, we have not had any hiccups. We don't foresee to be any problems tomorrow morning whenever we do make this transition.
How does that affect your, our email address?
You'll just have to reboot it tomorrow morning, reboot your
Just
computer,
restart.
and you're fine.
So we're all going to .gov.
Yes, sir.
Remember, that was the new law. We all had to do
Yep.
it.
Okay. Randy, was there a, increased cost associated with that switch?
Not an increased cost, no. I mean, it was a project that we had to budget, in the 2026 budget, but that was something that was appropriated at the end of last year. We knew how much it was gonna cost.
Okay, any questions on financials? Okay, I think that's the last thing I have on the agenda for finance.
All right, well, then we'll move right on into community development. Ms. Reed?
And we start the May 12th Community Service Committee meeting. At this time, we do have a quorum, and we would like to recognize our attendees, and I will start on my far left with Alderman Ham.
Don Farmer.
Chad Slaughter.
Evelyn Reed. Thank you. As stated, we do have a quorum. We do not have to reread the statement of FOIA compliance. At this time, we do not have any minutes to approve. We do? Okay. Okay. So we will, at this time, approve the April the 14th committee minutes. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Minutes from April the 14th are approved. Under new business, we had an ordinance for the historic district that was pulled, so that will not come before this committee tonight, but it will come before the committee in June. There's nothing listed under old business. And under discussion, under other, we just have our DRC monthly report for the month of April for you to review. Are there any questions or comments for this committee? Okay, that was short, sweet, and we are adjourned. Thank you. And excuse me, I got to get to an assembly.
All right, we'll move into the commissions committee at this time. Ms. Cole? Don Farmer?
Minutes for our April 14th, 2026. Minutes for approval. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next on our agenda, from our PNC 5-5 meeting, we have an ordinance number of 2026, an ordinance to annex land along Mountain View Road and Dobbs Creek in Zone R2. It's going to go direct to the council. Do we have any discussion from the council?
They're looking at a subdivision. Right now, we have told the developer, though, that we cannot review, due to Act 314, we cannot review any subdivision appropriately until it comes into the city. This annexation goes in front of the council on Monday night. So we have already informed them that they cannot come to us, to Planning Commission, for a preliminary plat until July 7th at that meeting. But they are looking at an R2 type development. Very similar to what's out there on West Jackman.
And per our ordinance, how many homes could they fit on that size property?
So it's 7,000 lot minimum, 7,000 square foot lot minimum. Well over 200. I think there's early proposal, I think that's been shown before, is about 240.
And I guess, will it be similar to, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they've come to us before, back when we had the ETJ, is that right?
My memory is correct looking over this, I believe they've come 2 or 3 times previously while it was in the ETJ. And they are now wanting to annex into the city due to, they cannot get sewer unless they are actually in the city limit or water.
Remember, the council passed an ordinance stating that earlier.
So we have seen some preliminary plans, and I've been talking with Jonathan Hope, who has taken over the engineering and surveying for it, and myself and Mr. Ritchie were also talking with them on some, making sure everything goes smooth this time with it being a bigger development.
Do you have any other discussion from the council? Yes.
On sewer and water, how close is that currently to the proposed site?
It's actually across Mountain View. It's at the CTE.
Do you have any questions from the public? All right. Next on the agenda, we have an ordinance to annex along Salem Road and Dobbs Creek Road and Zone R2 that's going direct. Council.
Alderman Cole, sorry, let me clarify that. It's actually,
Let's go back.
I got a little sloppy on mine. It should be Scott Salem Road and White Oak Drive. My apologies. It's on the northeast corner, and it's property that goes up to the Oaks subdivision.
That's the one for Mountain View Road and Dobbs.
No, this was a separate one. So this one's a roughly 2 to 6 acre one. I had Dobbs Creek on accident. I got sloppy on my
Okay, hold on.
spelling, and
So,
so it's Scott Salem Road and White Oak Drive
okay, I'm sorry.
by Mako Builders.
Okay.
I believe it's a little over 2 acres.
That's a correction.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And Jason, I know when we do a rezone, we are required to do public notice and all that. We do the same with annexations.
This is at the council. This is the notification at the council level. It was on information only for the planning commission. So it's been on the agendas, and this is on this agenda. The order was from the judge, and they've had their public hearings.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any further questions from the council? Do we have any questions from the public? Okay. Next on the agenda, we have an ordinance of 2026. It's an ordinance to rezone 2501 Highway 5 North from R2 to C2. Any questions from the council?
A brief description.
Yes, so if you were in Hurricane Creek and you came south off of Boardwalk, there's a I think it's a Benton Utilities Road that went to one of their old pump stations. This is actually just 2.3 acres on the back side of property directly off of Highway 5, across, before you get to the Hurricane Creek entry. It's the cleared land. I think there's already a structure on the adjacent property to the west.
Medical structure.
Yeah, medical structure, yes. This piece, there's a section line that ran through it, so when we did all of our rezonings, this portion was R2. The front portion was C2. So what they're doing, they have it's one property now. And they're rezoning that R2 piece to C2 to meet up with the rest of the property. And they've already proposed roughly a six lot commercial subdivision and geared more towards the heart hospital that's already there. And so looking at office and medical.
Any further questions from the council? Any from the public? Okay. Next, we have an ordinance for conditional use permit to allow the school, Barber College, in a zone at 12. Any questions from the council? Any from the public?
Women's clinic? Yes, yes. We've been speaking with this gentleman. He's currently just running a barber shop until he gets the conditional uses approved. And then he'll do a barber college, roughly, he mentioned at the P and Z meeting, roughly 12 to 15 students. Not very big at all. And it's being that it's already in a strip center, parking is not an issue, and we don't feel it will have any diminishing value or traffic concerns to it.
Next on the agenda, we have information from the Public Utilities Commission, Member Hart. All right. All right, nothing under advertisement and promotion commissions. And next, we have the Historic District Commission's review for 5-7 for information only. And this is certificate of appropriateness for sign at 110 North Market Street, Mosley Construction, and certificate of appropriateness for remodel facet at 110 North Market Street, Mosley Construction. Do you have any comments on that, Mr.?
I can get a quick overview on this. Chip Bosley Construction, came to us. They bought the Sheer Impressions business, that building. They've gone in, they're putting they're redoing the signage. They're going to have a post and mass sign come off. And also they are redoing the front facade. They're replacing the canopy there to align. If you look at the sites next to them, they're going to line the canopy up. So it's a flat canopy, metal canopy now. The brickwork's going to stay the same. They're taking out the turquoise on the bottom, but it looks very nice. And if you'd like to see any of it, I can share the photos with everybody that the renderings that they're looking at. But they approved this unanimously at the HTC meeting last week.
Do we have any other further discussions for this council? If not, I adjourn this meeting.
Mr. Lyons, you ready?
Hey, sir, how are you?
We'll start animal services now.
That'll work. Go ahead and call this meeting to order. We'll start with the recognition of attendees, starting on my left with Alderman Ham. Trevor Valines.
Judd Hart. Tom Farmer.
And Spencer Cole.
All right, thank you, everyone. You've all been sent a copy of the minutes prior to the meeting. Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? All opposed? Minutes are approved. Next item up for business is a update on the new shelter.
Hey, I'm gonna give you an update. I just talked to Brian Black. He sent me a text that said he spoke with Robert Moser at 2 today, that he told them that they were working to finish work on the doors and remaining punch items for the animal shelter should be done by Friday of this week. So they still got a little work to do on the side out there. If you've been by there, that's pretty rough. I'd hate put someone out there and mow because it's real rough, so they still gotta work on that, but they said they'll have everything done by Friday, according to Brian Black.
What's our plan for, being operational in the new facility?
They complete the punch list. Brian approves it because he's the architect that does all checking on everything. If everything's completed Friday, then start moving in the following week. If it's not, we'll wait till it's completed before we move in.
Makes sense, and I'm sure there'll be a, ribbon cutting, of sorts whenever we fully move in and everything's done, so, awesome. Thank you, sir. Any other questions on the shelter update?
This is what's the status on?
Well, we're gonna put it out for closed bids like the ordinance tells us we gotta do. Remember, it came in at appraisal about $75,000. So we'll put it out for bid and see what happens from there. But we don't want to put it out to bid until we're out of it.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Terry. Any further questions on this item? Seeing none, move on to the next item on the agenda, the exotic animal ordinance. Terry, if you would, please, elaborate on this.
Prior to my being hired, there was an ordinance passed, trying to cover everything within the city. The wild animals issue, was addressed at that time, and through the years, we've been doing ongoing updating, things like that. And, basically what we did, we, looked at other cities and other counties that's passed similar ordinances. And so we would like to update and do the same. I know there's a lot of questions about some of the parts of it, but our intent was that, these ordinances is not to punish or anyone. It's used as a tool. I know a lot of things are covered by the state, but sometimes the things with the state falls on deaf ears and things are not done. And we included it in this ordinance that we know there's people in the city that's permitted to have these reptiles and things like that, so they would not be even bothered with this particular ordinance. This is just get us in line with, in the city. We've got an officer gonna be training to deal with exotics. Through the years, we've had to deal with them, and with no enforcement, or anything like that to even educate anybody. We just had to wait. We had to depend on, the, owners of the subdivision to take care of it themselves. A good example, we had a situation where a gentleman was living with 125 snakes, and we couldn't do anything about that. So, but the subdivision, through their rules, did take care of that. We had a situation where there was a breeder with venomous snakes, and they ultimately moved into the county, so we didn't have to deal with that. So basically, that's where we're at. I've been inundated with a lot of questions about different types of snakes, and like the hognose snake. There's a question there that I think we can work through, but bottom line, I think this is a good ordinance. We're not gonna be going out and taking people's reptiles and snakes and things like that. It's just gonna be another tool that we're gonna put in our toolbox to better educate the citizens here in the city.
Go ahead, Alderman.
Do we currently have people that have cougars, panthers, bobcats, exotic and venomous snakes currently? And if they're,
As far as the cougars and things like that, no, sir, I have not been told of any of those.
okay,
The hybrid, wolves, yes, we have dealt with them. There's I think there's still one in the city that's been staying under the radar. The one that we did have in the city that was over by Pafford Ambulance, we did get that, animal, and it got the people in Texas came and picked it up.
and if I'm gonna go to the venomous reptiles and snakes, along those lines, are those used for just pets that are mainly in there, or is it medical reasons, or is it, I mean, is there a understanding that those or are they just breeding them to sell them, or is that, I don't even know if that's,
There's people in the city that has them for pets. Some are breeding to sell and things like that. And long as long as they have their permits from the state, there's not an issue.
Okay.
But we ran across ones that didn't, that, we talked to them and, they got,
so as long as they have their state permits, this will not affect them?
yeah, that's not gonna affect them at all.
Terry, you mentioned too that there were some other cities that you guys had modeled after and looked at. Can you talk
Yes,
more
sir.
on that?
This particular ordinance come from, Faulkner County. You've got, up in northwest Arkansas, you've got some cities and things like that, and, Fayetteville, whether it's Hot Springs, and some other cities like that. I want to address the lady that,
Section 3.
yeah, here's what we place in that ordinance to take care of those. Under Section 3 of exemption, this ordinance shall not apply to the following, provided that the exempt person or entity remains in full compliance with all applicable federal laws, state permits, license, et cetera. So if that person has that, they're fine. And when I get a call that, hey, John Doe has whatever, and as we've done in the past, I'm going off of monkeys because we've dealt with those. Went out there, they're in compliance. Okay, in the store. And that's why this was placed in there to take care of those that are permitted and they have their license and things like that. And I noticed that in the other city ordinance and county ordinance that they also had that. So, so they're taken care of. So, that was my big thing. I wanted to make sure they were exempt. Now, one of the things that I have, that in the past we found that those that were permitted, because they were a business, I suggested to them get with, the city clerk's office to, get a, privilege license to do business within the city.
Councilmember Slaughter, do you have a question?
On section 3 on the exemption, this will follow, and then, as long as they're, put the line, everything else. But does it not apply strictly to A, B, C, D, E, which is a circus, federal research, like the veterinary, or does it apply to anybody that currently has it? Because what I read, just those.
It applies to A, B, C, D, and E, and also if you've already got the permits.
So
That's the intent of where the public will, those that has it will be taken care of also.
I guess part 2 of my question is, what is the enforcement for those that are not licensed, not, since they have 30 days to, how are they going to enforce that they don't?
If, since you asked the question, we're gonna use you as an example. let's just say your neighbor called that you had a Gila monster. We're gonna say you had a Gila monster. I'm gonna come out and say, Mr. Slaughter, here's what I've been found out that you have a Gila. And you're gonna say, yes, no, or it's none of my business. And you're gonna say, well, yes, I do. I said, well, let me educate you. There's a city ordinance and there's also a state required X, Y, Z. Okay? And and so we appreciate you getting compliance. And what we do would be the same thing is, if Frank back down there, his dog hadn't been licensed and we went and told him, we'd say, Mr. Baptist, would you get, we're gonna give you 30 days to get in compliance. We're gonna do the same thing with you. Hey, we appreciate you getting in compliance. And after 30 days or 2 weeks, Mr. Baptist, are you gonna say, hey, I got in compliance, everything's taken care of? Or you might call and say, hey, the state's kind of slow on their paperwork. I need an extension. Okay. That way, as long as we have a paper trail and showing there's being due diligence done, then it takes, the neighbor that's upset because you have that Gila monster, I can say, hey, he's doing this, this, and this.
Sorry, I had a question.
Go ahead.
Right after the 30 days, it talks about 30-day period, the person shall not breed, sell, transfer within the city. Is there a reason why, I mean, we don't, if they want to sell them all off and they can transfer them somewhere, we don't want them to do that?
If they're
In that 30-day?
if they're licensed to do it, they can do it.
No, I'm saying that I was a non-licensed person and I just want to get rid of it.
Then
But you say here you can't transfer them or sell them.
you're talking about the mere transport through the city without overnight keeping separate transfer of the.
Section 4.
Section 4.
Yeah, what's going on here is that person, if during that 30-day period, if they're gonna get in compliance, they don't really need to breed and sell and transfer them till they get in compliance. Now, if they say, hey, Terry, just like the one that had the venomous snakes, say, hey, I'm gonna be moving out of the city within 30 days or whatever, then they'll notify us and let us know of that.
Any other questions or comments by council members? I know we have a lot of folks in the public that I'm sure would like to speak to. Alderman Baptist?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting reports for exotic animals coming into the city? This was developed.
Yes, sir, we're starting to get a few in the different subdivisions and things like that, yes, sir. And right now, you know, how I'm responding to them, you know, we'll check on it. If they're in compliance, then that's in the store.
Terry, one last question for you. What happens with the exotic animal if we, you know, find it in the city, you know, and they're not in compliance? What's our protocol there?
Well, if somebody calls me and says that I'm not gonna get in compliance and would you come get it? We'll go get it, and then I'll reach out to a rescue. There's a lady in, her husband's the mayor of Bradford, Arkansas, that, she, will come and that's a boa constrictor python, and we'll release it to her. But we won't euthanize or anything like that. We'll find a location for it.
You, sir? Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak regarding this ordinance? Please approach the podium.
Turn it on, turn it on.
It's green. Can you hear me now? My name is Stephanie Applegarth, and I have been a resident here in the city limits of Benton since, I guess, 2009. Great city, came from Little Rock, love it here. However, I am also a primate owner. So with this ordinance, there seems to be a lot of confusion. Because from what we're understanding is that if you have an exotic animal, you have 30 days to surrender that animal or move it. Then there's some conflict, and from my understanding, of removing and transferring, okay? I'm here to oppose this proposed exotic animal ordinance. I'm also licensed with USDA. I have this binder. That everything that you are going to find, its name, date of birth, you're going to have a picture, you're going to have my certificates, all my vaccinations, everything, importation permits, everything from my vet and the USDA is in here. I have pictures of my enclosures from the outside to the inside. Inside my home, I have child safety locks on my doors. I do not have a problem with any of our pets, none. So we would like to have some clarification on this ordinance. It does seem unfair. We are homeowners here. We do not want to get rid of our pets. We won't get rid of our pets. And that's asking a lot of someone from what we are understanding that is a homeowner for 30 days. We have a friend that is a primate resident that's been a city citizen here for almost 30 years. She's had a primate for 28 years. Can you imagine what her thoughts are right now on her primate that she's had? She's a homeowner and the option is not to leave her home, to sell her home. So we would like to have actually some clarification because I am licensed. I have all my documentation. So if you get a complaint on me, what is going to happen to me?
Well, the first response would be that you're already in violation of the current ordinance.
Okay,
Because the current ordinance says that you can't have them. It was passed in 2014.
okay. I have looked on your website. I have not been able to find anything. I have also reached out to other people and we have not been able to find that. That's one of the things that I did before I purchased my primate.
Yes, ma'am. It's 84 of 2019. That's the updated version. It is on the website.
Okay,
The current updated is ordinance 84 of 2019. The ordinance that was passed about those was back in, the first one was in 2013, the second one, that's the one that was updated here recently was 2014.
but you're saying as long as I am licensed and I have my proper documentation, at this point in time, there would not be anything you would do.
Two things.
Okay,
If we didn't do anything with this, let's just say we laid it over here, okay? Under the current ordinance, per the ordinance, I could come to you and you'd have to remove them from the city,
okay,
okay? But if we pass this updated ordinance, because you are a good animal owner and you got all your necessary paperwork and you're permitted, there's not a problem. There won't be an issue. But if we don't have this, I have to go with this.
okay. Okay,
So to me, you're a prime example, a positive of why this needs to be passed.
yes, sir.
Where
I have everything. Follow all the rules. Everything is documented. What about regulations? To keep them, to oppose this ordinance and to have regulations, because this is not just affecting us as pet owners. This also affects, I mean, we're definitely helping our vets out. With all of our vet bills and making sure that our animals are well taken care of and their health is taken care of. Our feed suppliers, Tractor Supply. That's one of them. Farmers Association, that's one of our suppliers. I educate. I can't tell you what it's like to see even grown adults to come up and are so excited to see a primate and the questions that they have. It's amazing, the education part of it, and I have my license to educate. So if there's any way to oppose this ordinance or to have some kind of regulation set forth, to, register with you guys, register with the city. You do have to register with the county. I don't know if you know that or not.
Correct.
But you do have to register with the county. They get your full information. They get the pet's name. They get pictures of the pet and the enclosures so that they know where these pets are going to be located. They know that they're being taken care of and the public is being taken care of
Yes,
as
ma'am.
well for safety matters.
But under the current ordinance, I would be mandated to come out there and tell you that you got to get rid of them under the current ordinance. No, ma'am. Once it was passed, originally in 2014, everybody had 120 days to get in compliance with the ordinance. Okay? That was in 2014. But this is when the city did theirs, where you're not in compliance with the ordinance. This right here, because you have the necessary, you're gonna be taken care of. There won't be an issue because you have all your necessary permits.
Okay. I do believe that there was a lot of misunderstanding with this ordinance, and I thank you for.
Yeah, and I appreciate you, I love input and I appreciate folks like you that, here's what I've got. And I don't like being the bad guy, especially in a situation.
Yes, sir.
Because what I would have to do is, I have to enforce it. I have to write a citation, and here's something that the district judge does that I have no control over. When we write a citation, it's a mandatory court appearance. When nobody's got time to go to court, you have to take off work. That costs money, and then if it'll be a plea and arraignment. If you plead not guilty, then you got to set a trial. Then you got to come back to court.
Yes, sir.
So this will resolve your
This will
issue.
actually protect us, is what you're telling me.
Yes, ma'am.
So we vote for this ordinance. You're telling me today that this will protect us with our
Yes, ma'am, because
primates.
you're already permitted. You're good to
Okay.
go.
That's what I needed. Yes, sir. Well, I just think that there was some misunderstanding
ma'am.
with it, and we just wanted to make sure that we did understand, because we're thinking, we are in compliance, as of this part, like you said, if this ordinance passes.
Correct.
And so we appreciate your time.
And a good example, we had a situation on, I think there was some primates off of Edison Avenue. They had all their permits, and they were licensed with the county, but I had to go off of this. Well, just so happened, they had been looking for a piece of property to move in the county, so I think it was like 90 days, 120 days to close on the property, everything like that. That was taken care of.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, I appreciate you.
Alderman Hart.
Yeah, I have I guess two questions, maybe a third. The 30-day process, I know we put a time limit on that, but if they're in, is that adequate time to get everything done by the state? If it's not, I know that you want, as long as they let you know that, but we just, is that what we're saying? They need to just let you know that they're still in that process after 30 days? And
A lot of folks, is always, as long as there's a line of communication, if there's not a, I don't know, I don't see anybody, how long it takes to do the 30.
Well, are you referring to like the primates or any kind of exotic out of state? But if you want to know what the process of that is, how long it takes to get the documentation?
Yes, ma'am, it took your permit to the state, how long will it only take?
It only takes maybe a week or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have to push. You have to push.
okay, and my next question again is, and ma'am, do you have a permit within the city? And it, yes or no? No. Okay. Okay. I guess my second part then, do we need to put that in this, that they need to be permitted with the city as well? Huh?
They can do the registration like sports license, yes. Sports and county can do the same thing. How we do that is just, I have whatever on period.
So they can do that with you and not have to sell it. That's what they need to do.
Correct. I think, there was a lady, I don't remember what it was, over on the North Shady Lane. He's only there temporarily, but we found to do who the owner was.
Would there be any circumstance at all that we would confiscate?
Well, the only way I can confiscate them, and if state there was no permit, somebody just going to be wrong.
And then what would you do with them?
I find, I wouldn't do, let me tell you, when I took over animal services back in 2014, we were at, if we had a bad, we were at kids, that bothered me, we are at, we're going in our third year, there's no fuel shelter, I want to compete. That needs to be, back then, if we had a bad situation, the education, work, we're going day for night, no fuel shelter, we would do the same.
Terry, do we need a section on licensing then, or, you know, is that covered under the existing ordinance? I mean, it sounds to me like we need to add a section in here on the licensing.
Registration is, everybody does it, just call it up, let's give us information. I've got a gal on industry, hunt, we've got one over there. Fourth down on the river, it's just, we'll find, we register all this.
There's not a problem with steering any kind of fee. Down to the county must charge $50 to register with them. You go down and you fill out the form with your information on it, and primate information, and again, you also give those pictures of your primates, and their enclosure. $50.
Well, I would be opposed, George. So we get, we're taxed to death, it's fees for everything. Everybody does it on honor system. Fine, if they're not registered, you just take care of it.
So Terry, should we look at maybe under section 3 where it says with all applicable federal and state permits to maybe add a clause about local? Yeah.
It was hard to understand that when it said, the federal and state permits, that was okay.
It's almost like, it's almost like they're asking, law administration to prove that they're in quick way. And I don't know where they found that. If that's what the takes, we'll have no problem.
I mean, ideally, we'd like to keep the government out of our inbound business, I mean, just to be flat out honest. But if that's what it takes, is to, have to come down and fill out a form or whatever, to not have to worry about if you get a call for Susie down there on Shaky Lane that the neighbor calls and says, hey, she's got monkeys down there, and you go, yep, thanks, please, that's what we'll do. I mean,
That's what we'll do for her.
yeah.
For the people that aren't registered, how do they have to have a 30-day grace period now to get that done, or?
30 days, we come in and take the ordinance.
Yes.
I think everybody will have time. In 30 days, we'll talk. If the council votes to pass this.
So then we have 30 days. That.
What we have to do, we have to exchange it, if the same requirement.
I think that's what he's asking, is, I mean, I know if a dog bites someone, it's my understanding that they're immediately quarantined until time to determine if they show signs of rabies or whatever. So, that's what he's asking, is if it's a snake or like your explanation of a Gila monster or something, if someone was to call you and say, hey, Susie, Gila monster bit me, what goes on there? I mean, because
Question will be, can you get rabies from kids? And well, it's not sticking to what it was. We'll call, okay? Very now. We'll call. It is sticking on
People in prison for the shot. It's home quarantine. Even, right, even if you have proof that they've had like a rabies shot or something.
even though they've been rabies vaccinated, they have to make it facility, they can, we keep that animal moving, family, do that, fall, and your animal, your animal better. Go out there and hold.
Terry, just to make sure I understand correctly, if we pass this ordinance tonight, we are saying that, next Monday night. That's right. So if we recommend, and let's say that council does approve it as is next Monday night, then we are saying that it is illegal to possess, harbor, da-da-da-da-da, unless you are already licensed under the current state and local regulations.
Your license, you're okay. Currently, you can be legalized. The current rule,
2019,
this ordinance here,
2014.
currently, what this is going to do is
Any other questions or comments from the council? From the public? Come ahead, sir.
Hey, everybody, pleasure to meet y'all. I'm Sharif Wheeler. Sorry, this is my first time doing anything like this, so I'm working on it, man. I'm gonna be honest, y'all kind of went over a big chunk of what I was concerned about. Quite frankly, though, I think a lot of these issues it seems like we need to be less vague with a lot of our terminology, as well as, like, for instance, how they're saying that they couldn't find any type of ordinance. I literally sent a bot through the website to try and find any ordinances. I used to see, for instance, like with the VRP license for venomous reptiles. The only exceptions to that are going to be native species. And I'm going to be honest, you're going to have a really hard time convincing me a snake is more dangerous if I pick it up out of my yard and take it in my house and put it in a glass box. So I think, realistically, unless maybe I'm having some misunderstandings on these things, but I feel like maybe if we could find the proper phrasing, one that really got me, sorry, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare, so I'm doing this off my phone, is a innately wild, non-domesticated animal. So what is an innately wild, non-domesticated animal? It's vague enough of a terminology where it had to be specified not dog or cat. Now, I grew up in Arkansas. I'm sure many of you have. I've had a pet raccoon. I've had a pet squirrel. Like, I've had some non-typical animals. And so I feel like if we are risking some things like this, and it's like, as somebody who's had, I guess under this case, an exotic animal like a raccoon, I understand how a wild raccoon, it can, be very dangerous. And quite frankly, like if any animal that's not well trained, it can be dangerous. But like I've had raccoons whenever I was a little kid, and the worst thing I had to worry about doing was opening my fridge, stealing my eggs, and turning them into soup in the middle of the floor. And so I just feel like if we could get some further clarifications on things, it kind of seems like a lot of people could use some clarification, as well as if we could find a way to maybe make these resources easier to find. Because I got a robot that can make you a movie right now, and it couldn't find an ordinance that I'm not the only one who couldn't find it. So I don't.
We're talking about thousands
And quite frankly, left, right, center, I don't think anybody really trusts the government. Nothing against y'all, but you're kind of our representatives at this exact moment. And so if somebody, my apologies. Dude, I'm 29. You don't get newer than me.
We have more discussion, so we're not rushing Monday, like, so that's what we want this year. I think that's for all of us.
All right, there's a motion and a motion and a second to table this ordinance until next month. All those in favor? All opposed? All right, we will table this ordinance until next month and have some more discussions on it. Mayor?
I would suggest that you give them your numbers so that you can get their clarification, so that everyone can be honest, not only use this term simple language, so we can all understand what's going on. So that, if you would just give them your number, y'all got a pen, pencil?
I'll be honest with you guys, you need to get their numbers. I am not educated in this. These are the people that this is actually gonna affect. So I think it's their stuff. Yeah. Okay, I was making sure. I was like, no, man, I just saw something I thought was wrong and I felt I needed to say something.
A phone number is 501-776-5972. Email address is terry.parsons@bentonar.org.
Let me correct that, it's gonna change tonight to .gov.
Oh, yeah, that's right. TERRY. Yes, sir.
BentonAR.gov as of midnight tonight.
And I'm just gonna say one thing to people about, because I am doing, I think, phone calls, look on, I know this is on the website. Look up the council and the board map, see where you fall in that. Call one of us, and that way, you know, if you have other questions, use us as your sounding board, that's kind of, up here, streamline the question.
Any other business to come before this committee?
I just need to say
Terry?
one thing. And those that about that's not in compliance with the current ordinance, don't, that nobody's gonna come tomorrow and knock on your door. I just wanna let everybody know that.
Thank you, Terry. All right, hearing no more business, this committee is adjourned.